What's up, baseball family? Welcome to tonight's Thursday Night Live. I'm Brig. I am going to fly solo tonight. Brad apologizes he's not able to make it here tonight. But even though we're sad that he's not here with us, we know that he is off having a wonderful time. Just as I hope you are, I am having a wonderful time. Got a little sun, apparently. I just noticed the raccoon eyes today, and that's pretty exciting. It's going to be a quick show for the most part tonight, but we have some really important things to talk about. The first thing is, if you haven't gone to our Instagram page and liked the photo to enter the contest for your copy of a Baseball Guide Gene, do that. Tag 2 friends, share the post, do all the things that it says in the little description box for your chance to enter to win. So, quick news that came out just recently, and we don't have a lot of information about it, and I didn't have time to update the overlay, so I apologize for that. But Christian Yelich is going to be having back surgery. Season ending, obviously, for those of you who know about back surgeries, as do I. It'll be season ending, but he says that he hopes he will be back in preparation for next season. That's why they're getting it done so early. I think it's actually scheduled for tomorrow, is what I saw. Now, there's not been a lot of details about that. There's not enough information yet to report on what type of surgery. We do know it's his lower back, but that's it. We will see, and as information comes up that we think is relevant, obviously we'll bring it to you as we always do. Give us a shout out wherever you are. Show us that you're here. Show me, rather, that you're here, and you might get a shout out on the show tonight. Okay, let's talk. First things first, my Yankees, the Royal We, are in a deadlocked battle with Baltimore for the first place slot in the American League East. That ultimately will decide who takes the division, not who goes to the playoffs. Both teams will end up in the playoffs at this point, whether it be the first seed wild card opportunity or the division lead opportunity. And you can sit here and say whether one is better than the other all day long. I think everybody wants a division title. But given the bye scenario in the playoff formatting, it has proven less than desirable. So I do think that's worth taking note of as we look at this half a game that they're battling over right now. And I've done a full breakdown for you on some details that I think are super interesting about the two teams involved, the Yankees and the Orioles. So let's start with the Yankees. Okay, my Yankees. Since the All-Star break, here's some details. They have played 8 series. Two of them have been losses. They lost to the Mets. They lost a series to the Angels. They've had 5 series wins. Red Sox, Phillies, Jays, Rangers, and White Sox. They've won series against all of those teams. Now, we all know some of those losses, those single game losses should have been wins. I don't know how you can wake up in the morning after losing 12-1 to the White Sox. I don't understand that. Make it make sense. If Brad was here, he wouldn't be able to make sense of it either, and I don't think Aaron Boone can make any sense of it. Quite frankly, we as Yankees fans are disgusted, I think is probably the most appropriate term. Everybody else was laughing at our expense. Also disgusting for those of us who are Yankees fans. If you're not a Yankees fan, you probably thought it was the greatest thing ever to watch the worst team in baseball in decades beat one of the best teams in baseball, and one with such a chip on its shoulder as the Yankees always do. It rocked my world. Even though they won the series, I couldn't put up with that loss. All right. They did split a series with the Rays as well. So that is how the last 8 series have gone for the New York Yankees. They've outscored opponents 144-130. Again, like that big White Sox game where they gave up 12. That does not help. And that was not an isolated incident. They've had some high-scoring games where it's either been tied, where they've either split the series or won the series, but some big high-scoring games that they've ended up losing. It turns out that they're better on the road than they are at home by a margin. It's a small margin, but it's a noteworthy margin, and it'll come into play here in a moment. When they play teams who are over 500, they're sitting at 41-27. So they're better against better teams, and they seem like they play worse against not great teams. Case in point, the Angels. How do you lose a series to the Angels? I don't understand. And I know that we were in a skid, but we kind of came out of it, the All-Star break, so things have been better. But it's like if the Angels, with the season they're having, can poke holes in the Yankees, then that's going to write the playbook for everybody else. They're going to know what holes to punch deeper into. They still maintain a plus 118 run differential, which is fantastic, but you can't do that if you're averaging 14.71 men left on base per game. They're averaging 14 runners on base that are just stranded every game. It's disgusting. That puts them at 21 out of 30. That's why the 118 run differential doesn't exactly make me sit pretty. I'm not completely content with that, because even when we get runners on, it doesn't exactly matter. The last 3 games, they've left 22 men on base, just in the last 3 games alone. Okay, let's look at Baltimore. Since the break, they've played 9 series. They've had 3 series wins, Rangers, Jays, Rays. 3 series losses, Marlins, Padres, and a second series against the Jays. And they've split 2 series, Cleveland and the Nationals. They've split series with. They've outscored their opponents only by 10 runs, 136 to 126. They perform relatively the same, whether they're at home or away. They are losing series to teams that they should beat, and then winning series against teams they should win against. So that's great if you're a Baltimore fan. They're 33-23 versus teams over 500. That's not bad. They've got a plus 90 run differential. And lucky for the Yankees, Baltimore leaves an average of 14.49 runners on base average per game. They're 19th out of 30. Not as bad as 21, but the disparity there isn't as stark as you maybe think it would be. Now, let's look at the series they've played against one another. We all know that's relevant. If it comes down to a tiebreaker, we're going to look at the series that they've played against one another during division play in the regular season. So, July 12th through the 14th, New York Yankees won the series 2-1. The Yankees outscored the Baltimore Orioles 15 runs to 8 in that July series. Back to the June series, 18th to 20th of June. The Yankees lost that series 2-1. 15 runs for the Yankees, 26 runs for the Orioles. Back in April, 29th through May 2, New York Yankees 1 game, Baltimore 3 games out of that series. The Yankees scored a meager 6 runs. Baltimore scored 13. Now, that's a far way back, but it's still relevant, like I said. Now, they will meet one last time. There is another 3-game series coming up September 24, 25, and 26. This will be in the Boogie Down in the Bronx. Okay? It is the second to last series of the season. And so what you're going to end up with is a playoff primer, basically. It could literally all come down to those 3 games. And then potentially, a lot's going to get decided in those 3 games. But the final series that each team plays once they break from one another, New York is going to play Pittsburgh at home. Baltimore will play Minnesota in Minnesota. That's how the AL East is stacking up right now. It is astonishing. It is neck and neck, and everything seems to be moving at a breakneck pace. Both teams win or lose largely within 1 day of each other, if not on exactly the same day. They are keeping pace with one another, and it is nerve-wracking. Either team, either fan base, literally on pins and needles the whole time, just waiting for September 24th to see what's going to happen. If the trend continues, it really will all come down to that 3-game series at the end of September. Unbelievable. So, baseball family, what do you think? Do you think the Yankees are going to take the AL East spot for first place at the end of the season, or do you think Baltimore will edge them out? Do you want the win? Do you want the bye, or do you not want the bye? That's another big important question, and we'll see. I think if I'm the Yankees, I want the bye this time. I think if I'm Baltimore, I don't. I feel like they maintain momentum really well, and the Yankees need to patch up some bleeding spots. It'll be interesting to see. Speaking of the Yankees, let's move on to Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Sport, is now the fastest player in Major League Baseball history to have hit 300 home runs total. He did it in just 955 games. He did it against the White Sox in Chicago. The previous, he has 43 this season, by the way. The previous fastest baseball player to reach 300 home runs was Ralph Kiner, who did it in 1,087 games. That's 132 games. Judge is 132 games faster to the mark. That's nearly an entire season. If you want to think about it that way, that's probably the best way to think about it. Nearly one entire season of play, Aaron Judge has done it faster. And you can compare, whatever you want to compare. State of play, generations, what all that stuff. Still, it's an incredible feat. And we're going to talk about the history right now. Currently, though, he's 18 homers away from 60. And that's relevant for a number of reasons. He's only on pace to hit 57, but we all know he can go on a tear, and he can reel off 2 in a game if he needs to. And that's not entirely out of the question. We got about 40 games left in the season. And so I'm wondering, does Aaron Judge make it to 60 home runs this season? If he does, then only 5 players in the history of Major League Baseball have had 60-plus home run seasons. That's Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa. So he would be the 6th if he reaches 60 this season or next season or whatever. He'll still be very likely the 6th player to ever have done it. But if he does it this season, he'll be the number 6. Only 2 players have ever done it, more than one, have ever had multiple 60-plus home run seasons. That's McGwire and Sosa. That's it. So Judge would hit. He would hit that group. I'm sorry. He's already had a 60-plus game or home run season. He is the 6th player already. Pardon my slip of the tongue there. So this would be putting him, should he reach 60 home runs this season, this would put him as the 3rd ever to do it more than once. It's very, very interesting. Very excited for him. I think he stands a good chance of doing it. I really do. I want him to do it. I think that's obvious. But I think baseball wants him to do it. I think even if you're not a Yankees fan, I think it's fun to watch Aaron Judge step up to the plate and hit home runs. It certainly has a benefit on their leaving guys stranded problem. So that wouldn't hurt, although it hasn't helped all the way until now. So I don't know why it would change. There's my curmudgeonry coming out. There we go. Brad was being poopy pants last time, and now I'm being poopy pants this time. All right, last piece of news for you tonight before we get into the broadcast schedule. Major League Baseball is proposing, or I should say they're toying around with a new rule change that would impose a minimum 6 innings for starting pitchers. They would have to go a full 6 innings under most circumstances. There are some what they're calling carve-outs. There are some, opportunities for that, for some wiggle room there, and we'll get into those. But the goals are they want to restore the prominence to the starting pitching role. And I think we can all agree that certainly with the advent of the opener and that strategy, the starting pitching role has sort of fractured in recent years. What we've also seen is that there's an enormous divide between pitchers who can go 6, 7 plus and those that can't. And the majority of them can't. So you've got guys like Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander historically, even Clayton Kershaw, who can go deep into games. But that list is growing smaller and smaller as we go. So they want to restore prominence back to the starting pitching role. The other thing they want to do is they want to avoid injury. These are their two prominent goals. They want to avoid injury. Now, I don't necessarily understand how that would avoid injury other than forcing guys to measure themselves, take a different approach, warm up differently, et cetera, et cetera. If they do that, it's going to be a season or two. We're probably going to see more injuries right up front. I can see this being a long-term benefit as guys develop new techniques in their game and their approach and everything like that. And I think, though, the biggest thing is this will come back to actual pitching and not just throwing the ball as hard as possible. If you want to understand more of what that's like and get a really stark comparison versus the game we watched today, you got to read David Cohn's book, Full Count. It chronicles his pitching journey, his career, and it's all wrapped around his perfect game thrown. The guy knows exactly what he's talking about, but he was a gamesman he was a strategist on the mound rather than being a fireballer exclusively. And so I think that's what we'll end up getting back to. I prefer that. I think that's better to have actual tricky pitchers rather and people can paint corners and throw junk and stuff like that. I like that a lot rather than guys hurling it as hard as they can. Okay, they also want to infuse some offense into the middle innings, which is going to be inevitable. We know pitching has been just incredible the last few years, and this is going to help batters for sure. 3 carve-outs. If the pitcher throws 100 pitches or more, you could take him out prior to 6 innings. If he gives up 4 or more earned runs, you can pull him out prior to 6 innings. Or if he gets injured. If he gets injured, that would require a stint on the IL. That would avoid manipulating the system, is essentially what they're saying. So, again, this is proposed. We don't know when or if this is going to be instated. I wouldn't be surprised if this got plugged in. I want to know your thoughts and feelings, baseball family. I'm not wholly against it, as I'm sure you can tell. I think this might be a really good thing, but it won't be a really good thing for a couple of years. It could be as little as 1, but I think this is Major League Baseball's next attempt to revert back to the classic game that most of us grew up watching and fell in love with. And I like that. I think banning the shift was a very similar move. And if it's going to go the way banning the shift went, where we end up with a situation where we don't notice anymore, same with mound visits. We just don't even notice how many mound visits there have been. Then that'd be great. If it's like the disengagement rule, where we all are keeping track of that, we all notice what's going on, how many disengagements, then we're going to end up with a different scenario. And I wonder which way it'll play out. I don't know. But let us know in the comments what you think, which way you think this will go. Is this good? Is this bad? Don't forget, baseball family, that we are on Patreon. That's the best way to support the show. It's the easiest way to support the show. We go to patreon.com, search baseball together. We've got a $1 tier of support all the way up to an absolutely ridiculous $500 tier of support. All of them are available for you. All of them benefit the show. All of them have their own perks and, benefits to you in various ways. The other thing you can do is hit the subscribe button, especially if you're watching and listening on YouTube. Share it with your friends. Tell everybody that we're here. It helps us the best. Honestly, we're shooting for 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the season. We've got a little bit of way to go still, so help us get the name out there, and that would be awesome. Now, let's go over your broadcast schedule for the weekend, okay? The national TV broadcast schedule. Friday, your MLB TV free game of the day will feature Minnesota in Texas playing the Rangers at 8:05 p.m. Apple TV Plus has 2 games. Toronto will be at Wrigley in the friendly confines. That'll be at 2:20 p.m. facing the Cubs. Seattle will be in Pittsburgh, 6:40 p.m. ESPN Plus, again, Friday. Kansas City will be in Cincinnati 6:40 p.m. as well. Saturday, MLB TV free game of the day, Toronto at Chicago, 2:20 p.m. FS1 has Houston at Boston. They'll be in Fenway, 4:10 p.m. Fox doubleheader, depending on where you end up. You might end up watching the Dodgers at the Cardinals, 7:15 p.m., or Cleveland playing Milwaukee in Milwaukee at 7:15 p.m. ESPN Plus features Detroit at New York at 1:05 p.m. on Saturday. Check that before. I might have missed something there. I don't have time to look it up now, but check. There might not be an ESPN Plus game on Saturday. I feel like there's not. Anyway, Sunday, the MLB TV free game of the day, Kansas City at Cincinnati, 1:40 p.m. Your Roku Wake Up in Baseball is at noon, 12:05. Miami at New York Mets. They'll be in Queens. There is no game on ESPN Plus on Sunday. And ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball, New York Yankees at the Tigers. That will be at 7:10 p.m. Let's talk about our series to watch. If we were going to go to games this weekend, these are the games we would go to, and we would use SeatGeek to get our tickets. You can too. Just head over to SeatGeek.com and use the code BASEBALLTOGETHER, which is all one word, to score $20 off your first order. That's Baseball Together, one word, at SeatGeek.com. Get your tickets to the biggest games this weekend and anytime. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. Brad phoned in and let me know that he thinks he's done watching the Mariners play this season. And he is, from now on, for the remainder of the season, a non-denominational baseball fan. But also, by the way, he's going to watch the Mariners and the Pirates. I will be watching the Yankees and the Tigers. Obviously, I got to watch the Yankees play. Red Sox, Orioles. That's a division matchup. I got to have the Orioles losing because I'm a Yankees fan. The Red Sox winning in this one isolated scenario is only going to be helpful. I'm not going to say I'm rooting for the Red Sox, but I will quietly be hoping that the Baltimore Orioles lose rather than rooting for the Red Sox. That's how we'll put it. And then I'll be watching Cleveland play the Brew Crew. Also, super interesting potential playoff stuff going on there. So, we covered a lot. Let's get to our favorite part. Ready? Today in baseball history, August 15th, 1990, Mark McGwire hit a walk-off grand slam in the bottom of the 10th. Oakland beat Boston 6-2. That marked the first time a player had hit 30 home runs in his first 4 seasons in the big leagues. So coming on the heels of that news of Aaron Judge, I thought it fitting to include Mark McGwire in our Today in Baseball history. Let's talk about Chinook Seeds. Go to ChinookSeedery.com. Use code BTPOD for 10% off your order. They are literally the best seeds ever. I'm a Parmesan and pepper guy. And I know Taylor Duke just ordered some. We're very excited he did, but he forgot to use the code. So when you go to ChinookSeedery.com, don't forget to apply the code BTPOD. That gets you 10% off your order. It does also come back to support the show, something for which we are extra grateful. You can also go to SeedSack, seed-sack.com. Use code BASEBALL together with the number 2 right in the middle of there, together. That gets you 5% off your order. That little seed sack holds exactly one of the skinny packs of Chinook seeds. You can dump it all right in there and keep your seeds fresh, keep them safe with the little clasp that they have on there so they're not dumping out. You can throw that crap in your pocket. Brad's going through at least one sleeve a day, sometimes more if he's under deadline and stressed. I do the same thing, especially when I'm under deadline and stressed. My favorite way to stay awake is to pop in some Chinook seeds. It's my go-to road trip snack because I'm always the one driving and I'm always the one getting sleepy behind the wheel. So to avoid that, I use Chinook seeds, and you can too. Baseball family, thanks for staying with me. Thanks for being here. I'm really excited to see how the playoffs shake out. Again, we've only got about 40 games left in the season. really, really interesting storylines happening right now. And with that, baseball family, don't forget, we will be back Tuesday morning for the big show, and again Thursday night for another Thursday Night Live. Have a great night.